Right, some of you may have seen this picture before. Ever since they released Alhaitham, we have seen this Pokemon meme. The 3 strongest main DPS in Genshin Impact. Right, the Hydro Sovereign Neuvillette, the Fatui Harbinger Alakino, and a lazy ass scholar by the name of Alhaitham. But is Alhaitham still worth it? Well, let me tell you something. I think that Alhaitham is still a pretty great character, and he is running right now together with Chlorend in the first half of Genshin Impact's 4.7 patch. This is not what I wanted to show. All right, he's running, he's rerunning, and if you have not picked Alhaitham and if you are considering him, all right, let me tell you, I love Alhaitham. I would like to say that I'm an Alhaitham main. Obviously, he's the profile picture that I have on this channel, and I really do enjoy him quite a bit. But is he the right pick for you? I think this is more of a review and why you should pull. I think, as I mentioned, he may be strong in DPS, but you don't like his playstyle. Obviously don't pull for him. But if you like his playstyle and if you really want to enjoy having a dendro main DPS on your roster, I'm here to tell you why he's an excellent character. But before we carry on, if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment, everything, all that good YouTube stuff. If you like to check me live on Twitch, I'll link is in the description below. I stream there pretty often, so come check me out. I do play a variety of games, so yeah, come when I'm playing a game that you like. Let's get this video started. So what is Alhaitham's kit? It does a main DPS, all right? It makes use of all parts of his kit. His skill is basically where his infuses his basic attacks with dendro, very similar to Kaching. You are able to aim it if you hold on to it, and then when Alhaitham attacks, all right, when he does that, he gains chisel like mirrors. All right, so it's the mirrors that you see later. All right, that's one of the 3 ways you can gain this mirrors. It's a major part of his kit, all right? And so the chisel light mirrors, when you attack, right, it all converts to dendro damage. That's what I mentioned. And then when you attack your opponents, your mirrors will unleash a projection attack, all right? Basically, this is his multipliers. As you can see, the more mirrors you have, the higher his scaling, because it's multiplicative, all right? So at 3 mirrors, which is the max mirrors that you can have, you have your whole overall damage multiplied by 3. And obviously your mirror will decay after time, right? Every mirror goes after 4 seconds, but the rest of his kit makes it easy for him to maintain his mirrors. So there are 3 ways to be able to get chisel like mirrors. First one is obviously from his skill, you get 1, but if you start from 0, then you're able to get an additional 1 as stated over here. So you get 1, if there's no, you get additional, so you have 2. The other way, through one of his talents, is by doing a charge or plunge attack. And the last way is through his ultimate. Right, his ultimate, you're able to gain the opposite of what you have. So you start with 0, you're able to gain 3. You start with 3, you're able to gain 0. But obviously that also scales, right? If you have 3 mirrors and you use his ultimate, you do more damage, for example. But usually that isn't really that big of an issue. So yeah, let me showcase to you in the trial what his mirrors look like. So Alhaitham, and I think this is where one of his greatest strengths come from. A lot of people will complain about Alhaitham being a little bit complicated to play because of the way his kit works, depending on whether it's a short rotation you want to skill first, or whether it's a long rotation you want to out first. So let me just show you. So now that Alhaitham starts at 0 mirrors, right? If I were to charge attack, he's able to gain 1 mirror. See, this is the chisel mirror that you can see. This goes away every 4 seconds. Now that I start at 0, if I were to use a skill, now I have 2. And so what is the projection? So this is not a projection yet. All right. Okay, let's do his ultimate first. All right, his ultimate gets me back 3 mirrors. So now you see that rain of mirrors that chain down, that rain of mirrors that come down. Those are his projection mirrors, the projection attacks, and that scales off. That obviously scales depending on how many mirrors that you have on field. And so it really is, it really does a lot of damage. It scales on both. So Alhaitham's kit both scales on attack and elemental mastery. If you were to ask me which one is more important, I would think that elemental, okay, it depends on your build, it depends on your weapon, it depends on your artifact set, it depends on your team. But in general, I think that elemental mastery suits him more, as you can see from his skill, which is the main bulk of his kit, right? The projection mirrors, for example, all of them scale more on elemental mastery than attack. So I find personally that the higher that your elemental mastery caters more to his skills and everything, whereas his attack helps him do more basic damage. So it's really an either or, and I think that makes why building him not as strenuous as like other characters, because if your artifacts are, I can't view the trial artifacts, but if you pull both attack and elemental mastery, they are both beneficial for you, and they both boost his damage in different ways. Now, so previously I mentioned about how I like Alhaitham, and I think that people's critic of him having multiple rotations is not a valid one, and I think that actually makes him one pretty good. So as you can see, I start this. Oops. Well, never mind. As you can see, I start all of that with his ultimate. That is generally the common consensus of how you should enter into a battle. But let's say, right, if I were to enter the battle now and I don't have my ultimate, let's just ignore that I don't have my ultimate, right? I can now go in and special, and I'm still be able to produce consistent damage across the board until I build my ultimate back up. And I think that is where he shines the best, because for other characters, like other DPSs, if you do not set up your characters properly, you will not be able to consistently do the damage that you can. Whereas Alhaitham has other ways besides his ultimate, and besides getting smacked in the face as I am having, to keep up with the damage. And I think that is really a testament of being flexible. All right, I think Alhaitham is one of the most flexible DPSs that you can have, because there's no just one way of entering into battle. You're able to, keep up your rotations. Obviously, you have to understand where you are at. So the one thing you need to be mindful of is to keep into account where your chisel mirrors are at. I think that's the most important thing going into building and using Alhaitham. The other thing that maybe is a small technique. So as you know, your skill can be held. If you aim up, right, you get 2, and now that I plunge, now I gain 3 mirrors. So that's the charging. So that's something that people do as well. Obviously, you don't take as much time as I did to aim up to the sky, but being able to maintain these stacks of mirrors is what's going to help you really utilize Alhaitham very, very well. All right, so let's look at, so the other reason why Elemental Mastery is pretty good on him is his other talent, which is the Mystery's Laid Bare. Basically, this damage the projection attacks is the mirrors that shoot down, which is this portion of his kit, right? Every Elemental Mastery that you have will increase the damage, all right? And that also pertains to your ultimate as well. So the attacks from your ultimate will be scaled on Elemental Mastery. So I think that is usually what people go for. Like I said, don't neglect attack. All right, attack is also pretty good on him. But if there's a scale, obviously it's more weighted towards Elemental Mastery, especially in a team where you're using characters like a Hyper Bloom or Quick Bloom team. So maybe just as the last showcase, let's just go into this one, Float. All right, let's start. So this is a team that I really like to use, and I'll talk more about this in the team section, which is the pretty standard Alhaitham Hyper Bloom team or Quick Bloom, depending on who you ask. All right, so let's use the burst. All right, so let's mark our enemies. We use now Hida's burst. All right, I'd like to open up with this. Xingqiu, ironically, is one of his best teammates. Some people will say that he's better than Yelan because he does provide the introduction to resistance that he doesn't have. All right, and as you can see, I'm doing a lot of damage. All right, now I can ult. Maybe I altered too early. I should have altered there. All right, but that was a bad rotation. That was a bad example of a rotation. All right, but as you can see, I'm doing pretty decent amount of damage. Now I open back in. right? You can see that I'm doing a lot of damage. And the reason why he's called, and the reason why this thing is more of a driver is because in hyper carry teams, usually if this Alhaitham was hyper carry, he would be doing most of the damage right now. But because you also have supplementary damage from his rain swords and also Cookie activating hyper bloom, it's more of a driver for those reactions. And okay, that was a bad example, obviously, because I can't play while talking. Generally, if you watch me play a bit on stream, I don't really talk that much. But yeah, that is, you can tell the potential that he has in these teams. And he's not just limited to quick bloom teams. He can also use his spread. Some people play in Burgeon. I don't think he's really good in Burgeon, but you know, if you want to, you can play him. Okay, and so let's talk about builds. So for me personally, I think that the Gilded Dreams is one of the best sets, especially if you're playing like in a spread related or quick bloom related team, because of the 4-piece bonus given. You're able to increase attack for every time you have attack element. Usually with Alhaitham, you run a second dendro, and then you increase your elemental mastery for everyone with different type. So in that case, right, with the previous case, right, even though I had 308 here, it will become 408 because I had both Xingqiu and Cookie who provide 2 stacks of that bonus. You could also go for the what's this thing set? The Deep Wood set as well. The Deep Wood set is pretty good on him if he's a solo Dendro character because of the 4-piece giving the shred. For me, because if I run it with Nahida, my Nahida has the Deep Wood, right? Nahida has the Deep Wood, so I don't run it on him. But if you are running a solo Alhaitham, a solo Dendro, then you probably need him there as well. Of course, you can also do a mix of two-piece elemental mastery sets. So you can go with a 2-piece of Gilded Dreams. You can go with a 2-piece of Wondrous Troop, which is where is Wondrous Troop? Not Golden Troop, Wondrous Troop. You can go with 2-piece of Wondrous Troop, and also the Flowers of Paradise Lost if you have farm for that as well. So yeah, generally these are the sets that I would recommend for players. As for main stats, Elemental Mastery on his Sense is pretty good. That's what I have, you know, going. And then Dendro on his Goblet. This is a pretty cracked Goblet, by the way. This is 49 CV. And also crit rate or crit damage depending on your weapons. All right. And then for the substats, you know, attack, crit, energy recharge. Generally, if you're playing double Dendro, 130 to 160 is fine. But if you are playing single, then about 145 to 150 is necessary. But as I mentioned earlier in the previous section, because of the way Alhaitham's kit works, if you are lower in ER and can't get to your ultimate fast enough, you're still fine, right? Because ultimately, if you're able to go, because of the way Alhaitham is able to get his infusion with his skill, right? Having his ultimate ready at all times is not necessary. So don't be so pressured to go for the energy recharge requirement. If you are like 10 shot and you're not able to get on cooldown, don't worry, because in that rotation you're still able to enter into your skill and still able to get some uptime and still do some damage with whatever rotation that you have. And I think, as I mentioned, this is why I think Alhaitham is great, because it's able to adjust according to the situation. As for weapons, I think his signature, which is the Lo-Fi Delight of Foliar Incision, is his best in slot, obviously, because it's his signature weapon. This really helps out a lot, especially because of this is at max level. This is 88.2% crit damage, by the way. And it also gives you crit rate already, so another 8% crit value, and then helps you with elemental mastery. So this is where, if you're playing the Lo-Fi, for example, elemental mastery is of even more greater importance. All right, so as I mentioned, depending on your weapon, it really depends. Another great weapon that you can use is the actually, all swords are great. For me personally, I use the Primordial Jade Cutter because it is 41. It gives a lot of crit rate, increases my HP and also attack based on my HP. So that's so great. I think the Chiori sword is pretty good on him as well, which I do not have. And any other sword that you have, like the Haran. So yeah, like weapons switch. The Haran is pretty great on him because of the elemental damage bonus, so that you get dendro damage bonus. The black sword is great on him. Even the Iron Sting at R5 is great on him. The Sentient Umbrella Sword is also great on him because of the Elemental Mastery boost. But so yeah, generally he has a lot of good options as long as he provides crit or Elemental Mastery. Even the Mist Splitter, which I do not have, also is pretty good on him as well. And if you really want the EM, Freedom Song is amazing too. So it doesn't really lack. Even the 3-star option, which is the Harbinger of Dawn. Where's the Harbinger of Dawn? Right, I don't have it at max, but at R5 giving you 28% crit and also pretty decent crit damage. Yeah, he does have a lot of sword options, and I think that he is also very flexible and cheap to build, and then you're able to scale him up higher depending if you want to pull his signature weapon. All right, and so constellations, I think constellations are pretty bad. Like some of them giving him more damage, lower cooldowns, giving more elemental masteries, but I think that none of his constellations are that significant. I think personally, if you want to pull for constellation for Alhaitham, right, you pull for Nahida C2, for example, right? You pull for Nahida C2, and I think that is basically it for Alhaitham. And so, what are these best teams? Generally, I run this team. Let me show you this team. Generally, I run the core. This is what we call Quick Bloom. So it's Hyper Bloom plus Quicken, right? Or in this case, for him, it's a spread reaction. So we have Cookie, Xingqiu, Alhaitham, and Nahida. Obviously, you can interchange this. Cookie can be switched, but with Raiden Shogun, if you want to build Raiden Shogun with Elemental Mastery, which I think is blasphemous. Cookie also provides the healing. Xingqiu can be switched out for either Furina or Yelan. I don't have Yelan, unfortunately. I like Xingqiu because even though Xingqiu does have pretty great hydro applications, sometimes a little bit too much. But my thing about Xingqiu is that with his ability, he's able to provide rain swords. The rain sword, is able to provide interruption resistance, which definitely helps him a lot in preventing him from getting like blown out the screen, or taking like poise damage, as they call it, getting knocked back. Right, the resistance interruption really helps him quite a lot. Whereas for Yelan, the attack boost that you get from the ultimate really helps him do more damage. So in the end, when you compare both Yelan and Xingqiu is the better defensive option, while Yelan is the better offensive option. The same goes with Furina as well. She's more offensive, but she does give a lot of great buffs, but then you'll be very careful that Alhaitham doesn't get one shot because his health drains with Furina, and he doesn't have the interruption resistance of Xingqiu. That means that you might have to change either Cookie to become a more healer into a better healer than a pure EM build, or you switch Nahida with Baiju, which I do not have. And so yeah. And of course, the second dendro, as I mentioned, could either be Nahida is his best in slot. She does buff up dendro. She does keep the application. She does help out a lot in keeping up with in giving EM to everyone. But if you need a healer, Yao Yao is pretty great. Baiju, as I mentioned, I don't have, is pretty great. Kirara's okay, but I generally prefer healing over shields, especially if you are using Furina. So ultimately, this is the main core, and you are able to switch it around depending on who you want. If you want to use Raiden Shogun here, then maybe you use either Baizu or Yao Yao. So it really is flexible. You can also go with a spread team. So a spread team, which is mostly like this. And maybe as a fourth one, you can probably either go with if you go with Kazuha, he mainly buffs he mainly buffs the Electro instead of Dendro. So Kazuha is how it is. You can go with double Electro, it's pretty fine. So ultimately it really depends on what you have. But I think that's very flexible. He can also go with Burgeon, although I highly recommend not doing with Burgeon because I think that Burgeon is a little bit sloppy. So Burgeon will be mostly like this. So either Toma or Bennett, and he's the one that's helping to drive the reactions. And because he has a shield from Toma, he's able to explode the cores, although I highly don't recommend it. So yeah, that is that for this video. Obviously a lot of yapping, but I really like Alhaitham. I think that he is flexible enough to provide a solid core for any team, and I think that you are not going to regret pulling for him. Obviously this is more of my feels crafting, if you can say that, right? That I don't have any concrete numbers, but the reason why he's still used so greatly in Abyss should give you an indicator of how great he is as a character. In fact, I just cleared Spiral Abyss 12-3. I use it on the second half because of the Electrolectors. So yeah, I think that is, as I mentioned, like this is where his strength is. Let me just do one run and show you how quick and how insanely fast he can clear content. Right, so let's do this. Get the double prop. All right, going with the ultimate. All right, now I already have 5 stacks. Right, and I just keep on maintaining my stacks. As you can see, I'm almost down to the second half. I already killed 2 people. I can switch out, and then I can just save my cooldowns, and now I can go back in with the special. Oh, you know what? Never mind. You know what? Let's just out. All right. Maybe I didn't roll a bad thing. I should have special earlier and not do the charge. But as you can see, so much damage. 3 Mago Kenki done in 43 seconds. So I think that if you guys really want to consider for him, and if you guys really are on the fence, I think that he's not bad, especially if you have Nahida. I will recommend him. I think that he is comfortable to play. Obviously, he's not as brain dead as, I wouldn't say he's not as brain dead as Neuvillette, but I think that Neuvillette is boring, which is why I never put for him. And I think that I prefer a playstyle like Alhaitham, where you are flexible, you are able to go in any way you want, and you're still able to produce consistent results. And that is my video for Alhaitham. I said I think that he's super pretty great in this economy, and I would highly recommend him to anyone who likes his playstyle. And once you have played the trial in the game and you really like him, go for him. You're not going to regret it. All right, I'm probably gonna make a Cloren video once I put for her. I only do that on stream, so keep watch out for that. Anything else, as I mentioned, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, so that I really appreciate your help with this video. And also note that I stream live on Twitch, link in the description. And I'll see you guys next time. Until then, stay healthy, stay safe, be good to yourselves and the people around you. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.